Hello, this is my 2023 update on Shake It Up. Thank you to everybody that supported the campaign so far. It's been running for over a year. Unfortunately, in the current political climate, it's going to be ongoing for much longer, but keep going. There's been a few developments this week, and that's what this video is about, but not with the ME community, with another community that would benefit from this reporting system. I've said from day one, although I'm an ME advocate, ME patient, and my social enterprises tackle ME CFS, this reporting harms system would benefit a great number of different patient communities. And thank you to everybody from outside of the ME community who have participated. Your support is gratefully received. But this week, there's been news in the long COVID patient community. That has implications for non-pharmaceutical treatments and the need for Shake It Up. And that's what this video is about. So earlier on this week, there was an announcement made via the media that the NHS England have deprioritised long COVID. And I've been busy as an advocate, podcasting, tweeting, Facebooking about it. So I'm going to share that information here. So anyone that follows ME Foggy Dog on Twitter, Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, wherever, will know that I've been talking about this week. So I was waffling on about it for an awfully long time yesterday. Yeah, it was pretty significant news. So this one says, the ME patient community is aware that the proponents of grade exercise therapy and CBT for ME are planning a media attack on the ME community, and they're going to say that NICE isn't any good and that it was a very poor review and that they're right and all these other international scientists are wrong. We are waiting for it. So while we're waiting, this story was broke by Roland Manthorpe, who is a Sky News reporter who also happens to have long COVID. So this is what he said in his tweet. Huge story by HSJ News, so that's Health Service Journal News. NHS England has shelved priorities on long COVID and will no longer attempt to meet targets for the condition. He says he's confirmed it independently, and a source tells him that long COVID is being deprioritised by the NHS. Now, I should say, I haven't been able to read this article because it's subscription only, and it's hundreds of pounds every year to read this article. So I'm taking Roland's word on face value because he's a journalist and he says he's confirmed it independently. So I responded to that with, I'm not really shocked, but I am at the same time, and I'm going to explain why. Because throughout COVID, long COVID patients have said, we will never be treated like ME patients have been treated because there are too many of us. And for 3 years, I've been saying, yes, but they treated us how they treated us because we were getting too expensive for the welfare budget. If your community is 8 times bigger than ours, something like this was going to crop up. And when you remember that we are still in the middle of a pandemic, people are still getting chronically sick today, that 2.2 million is going to, yes, there are people recovering, but there's a heck of a lot of people that aren't. And half of those meet ME/CFS diagnostic criteria. So this is an ME issue, but it's currently under the umbrella of long COVID. Anyone that knows the political history behind ME will understand why I tweeted, pondering about the timing. We know a ME NICE guideline attack is imminent. Is this coincidence or a sign of external interference? Freedom of information requests are in my future. Freedom of information requests will be submitted today. Because during and after the NICE guideline review, thanks to freedom of information requests by other advocates, we know that there was external pressure to not get rid of grade exercise therapy and CBT for ME, despite the scientific evidence. So we know that. We've seen that for ourselves. So now the chances that there's external interference with this, I personally would say are quite high. So this is what I thought yesterday morning at 6:20. I had insomnia yesterday. So 6:20. Okay, anyone that doesn't know, Stripey Lightbulb CIC is also a social enterprise run by me. And I tweeted this at around 1:45 yesterday afternoon. So I wrote, so NHS England opt to deprioritise long COVID, and at the same time they appoint 3 new board members. Look who they were. And I'm going to click on this link so you can see. So it's these 3 people: Baroness Mary Watkins, Professor Sir Simon Wesley, and Professor Sir Mark Walport. The person that we need to be concerned about is Sir Simon Wesley. Why? Because he is the person that was interfering with the NICE guideline. He will not admit that graded exercise therapy and CBT do not work for this type of disease. So he is now on this board. I'm not entirely sure what the name of the board is, but it's an NHS board. I don't know if it's like the central board, I'm assuming. But they keep going on about how he's a professor of psychiatry, has worked as a clinical psychiatrist specialising in general hospital psychiatry. I'm sorry, but psychiatry has very limited benefit to post-viral illness. It's a biological, biomedical disease. Psychiatry has very limited benefit, in my view. So I tweeted last night and asked, I wonder if there is a complaints procedure relating to new appointments. Now, let me be clear. I do not agree with cancel culture. I do not want Sir Simon Wesley to lose his job. However, I do think the NHS needs to be very aware that this appointment, in my view, is vindictive towards the ME patient community, given that long COVID is one of the vast challenges faced by the NHS in terms of they're losing their own staff to long COVID. And there's 2.2 million long COVID patients, half of whom meet the diagnostic criteria for ME/CFS. And yet they have chosen to appoint someone with a very complex, controversial history with ME/CFS. They've appointed him to a board that's going to help to create policies to tackle all of the challenges currently faced by the NHS, one of which is long COVID. So why do they keep giving this person a platform when it's proven that the research that he did was shockingly bad, of very poor quality? International researchers have said this should never have been passed, it should never have been accepted as NHS policy as what treatments that they should offer, because the research was so bad. And yet they've now given him a non-executive director post on their board. I'm genuinely shocked. Anyway, like I say, don't want to cancel him, don't want him to lose his job, but I do want the NHS to be very aware of just how crazy that appointment is. And he has no place on that board, in my view, because part of the challenge ahead for the NHS is long COVID and COVID. And he's a psychiatrist. Anyway, so I hope now it's a little bit clearer why I think Shake It Up is even more important than it was before, because now there is someone who is a proponent of graded exercise therapy and CBT sitting on the board of NHS England, and he's going to be contributing to policies that impact long COVID. I would be amazed if he doesn't push for the cost-effective way to deal with long COVID is to recommend graded exercise therapy and CBT. Because he's one of the people that's going to do the backlash against NICE in the coming weeks about NICE doesn't know what they're talking about. NICE hasn't done a very good review. NICE did a very good review. They spent nearly 4 years on it, and they spoke to a lot of different people, not just these people that did this very bad research study. Yes, so we need this system more than ever, because there are now many more people who are now at risk of being told to do graded exercise therapy or CBT. Let me be clear, it's not always called graded exercise therapy, but anything that encourages goal setting, increasing your activity, active, I can't remember what they call it, something like increased pacing. Pacing is not increasing your activity levels. Pacing is learning to live within your current existing energy levels. So they're even rebranding something that's usually our safety net to be able to get people to increase their activity levels. There is scientific evidence that neither ME nor long COVID are deconditioning, because over time patients did not get increased activity levels. It doesn't work with us. So it's a waste of their time, their money. So all these things together mean we need to do a big push on Shake It Up. So I would encourage anyone watching this, if you haven't taken part in the campaign already, please do. Please ask all of your friends and family whether they understand the issue or not. We need as many signatures as possible, because at the moment, although I know it's really important, the petition signature number doesn't reflect that, considering there are at least 800,000 people with ME/CFS symptoms in this country alone at the moment. We've got a lot of international people signing this petition, but people in the UK aren't. And we need them to understand, although it's not recommended, people are being told to increase their activity levels and to do CBT as a treatment today. I'm still receiving emails from people saying, are they allowed to do this? I was shocked to be recommended this, because I thought that this wasn't recommended anymore. It's not. And I'm telling those people to contact the GMC and report those people, because that's what NICE has told us to do. Because they can't enforce it as law, it's guidance. But those people need to stand in front of the GMC and explain their clinical decision and why they think they know more about ME, CFS, than NICE, who's just spent 4 years studying all of the science. So I would say anyone that's being told to do CBT, grade exercise therapy under any name, report that person to the GMC. Anyway, please sign, email your MP, but mention the Shake It Up campaign, because it all comes across as one voice then, instead of lots and lots of people, individuals having the same complaint. It's all under one umbrella of the Shake It Up campaign. Your support is gratefully received. It is like banging my head against a brick wall, but this is very important. And too many people now need a reporting system to report harms from non-pharmaceutical treatments. Because while the data isn't there, the government, NHS and Department of Health and Social Care cannot make informed policy and research decisions. The missing data means there's a massive problem that isn't being talked about. And ignoring it is just making people incredibly disabled and unwell. Thank you for listening. Happy New Year, and I will do another catch up soon.